Okay, let's time for d4, I guess. FCL Gomes. Okay, have a normal opening so far. See what he goes for. The Nimzo Indian, the King's Indian, the Grinfeld. Could be King's Indian or Grinfeld at this point. Okay, King's Indian territory. So let's go with G3, my fianchetto line against the King's Indian. Something I've been working on for a while now. Just avoids complications. That is my plan here. I'm going to play with E3 and knight to E2. And it's not a typical setup against the King's Indian, so sometimes the King's Indian player is a little bit at a loss what to do. And let's see, so that pawn on E5 can just be taken, and he doesn't take back with a pawn, he has to take back with the queen. Yeah, normally they want to have a pawn there, actually. I can castle. So what to do with my dark squared bishop? Maybe I can even get in bishop to b2 at some point. Yeah, he's created a bit of a weakness there on d6, but he had to do something to enable his bishop to come out. His knight is not easily coming into the game either. Okay, so I'm thinking queen d2, another defender for the knight. After this knight moves, it'll be attacked twice. So queen d2, defending the knight so I can play b3, and then bishop to b2. So let's make the first move here, see what he does. This pawn is loose, the c pawn. After I finished with this setup, okay, so he just goes for the trade. Oh, he goes for losing a piece. Curious. Let's take first. He can take. He can't even take there. Let's go back. So yeah, that's what happens sometimes when you manage to confuse your opponent, get him out of his normal play. So I can still go for b3 and bishop b2, right? He's got two attackers, I've got two defenders. If he pushes his pawn, I can just take it with the pawn. And it's a good square for the bishop. Can defend it with the rook and then move this guy with tempo. Defend my bishop with the rook, and then I'll be able to move this knight with tempo. Yeah, and then he's lining up to push his lone pawn here. Yeah, so I can take that, let's see, with the pawn. And now if I take with the knight and he takes back with the rook, I do have to worry about keeping this guy defended, but I'm getting closer to being able to move this guy with tempo. So where's a good square for my queen? Here. Just offer the trade. See what he wants to do in this position. So what are the pawns? Yeah, we have even pawns, so I'm just a knight up. Okay, so he got out of off that diagonal. Let's go ahead and spring this diagonal open. Trade off the dark squared bishop here. So that's his idea. Okay. So bishop takes, knight takes, leaves that pawn hanging. Bishop takes, rook takes, knight takes. Yeah, he might manage to gain a pawn here. Let's see, can I attack something? Oh, I can pin the knight. I mean, I can pin the rook. Yeah, you can't really move that rook with check. Then I can attack his rook. He can defend his rook. With rook to d8, or he could bring the other rook back, and oh, he can't actually bring his rook back to defend the queen. I was going to say he has that, but he doesn't really. So this will maintain a pin if he takes with the rook, or if he takes with the queen, we'll trade into an endgame where I am a piece up. Let's see, if I went knight b2, he can't take the knight, but he could take the pawn with this queen. No, he can't take that pawn either. So knight b2, if he takes the pawn, I'll take his rook. If he takes the knight, I'll take his queen. So knight b2, what does he do? He moves the queen to unpin. Just want to get the knight into a more active square, like knight to c4 would be a nice fork, exploiting the pin. So after knight b2, he should unpin in some way, maybe moving the queen. Or I could just take the pawn. On b2. But I think, what am I going to do? I'm going to put my queen here so I can bring my rook out. So I'm releasing the pin on his rook. He can take the pawn. I can take a pawn. But I just want to activate my rook. So he forces the knight to move. And now the knight can go here. Hitting his bishop. Okay, so let's get rid of that piece. So we got a pawn for his troubles, and I am just a bishop up at this point for a pawn. So check here. Yeah, that pawn did end up on a light square, but check here picks up that pawn, so I get a pawn back, right? Unless he goes here. But he didn't bother with that, okay? And, well, taking that pawn is nice because it defends here and it allows me to bring my bishop into the game, which should help me terminate this a little more quickly. Okay, so he lines up on the f-pawn here. Keeps my rook tied up. So let's go here with the check. Yeah, so he goes there. So where's the mate? I can move my rook now. I can move this pawn with the tempo on his rook. I can play queen here, check. Yeah, his king was forced to go there because it gets mated in the corner. So now queen here, check, goes into an endgame where I'm a piece up and I don't have to worry about the pressure on the f-pawn. So we'll just go for that. Okay, he harasses my bishop. Okay, so let's attack that pawn. Okay, let's push this pawn forward. I don't want to lose it for nothing. Defends the bishop temporarily, and he can of course trade. Let's take first. The thing is, I can't. I wanted to attack this pawn, but I can't actually do it here from where the bishop is. Okay, but he can't move his pawn forward either, so let's maintain this position for a bit. Yeah, so I'm going to maneuver my bishop to a better diagonal. Where's a good diagonal here? So I'm looking at the c6 square to attack this pawn. And yeah, he doesn't do anything about it. Okay, so let's take this guy. And 2 pawns for 1 and a rook up, a bishop up. If he trades, he didn't trade. Okay. Let's defend the bishop. Let's see. So I should figure out how to attack this pawn. That's what I should be doing. So bishop could attack from anywhere along this diagonal or back along this diagonal. See, so let's find a route for the bishop. Say bishop here. Yeah, so that move, putting the bishop in the corner, was silly. It was a waste of a tempo, but it doesn't matter too much. Then I can go here. And if he attacks the bishop, then I'll go here. Right. He's kind of predictable. So that'll allow me to take here with check after the rook moves. Okay, so he resigned. Anyway, I think I will upload this and do a postmortem. See you guys later. Bye.